I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman.
You know, I honestly never thought that the day would come. The past 9 years have been filled with rumors and leaks of some sort of new Superman movie over at Warner Brothers just stewing in God knows what stage of development, only for each and every one of them to never ever end up seeing the light of day. But finally, after nearly a decade of waiting, we get the news that I feel like I've been waiting my entire life for. A new live-action Superman film starring Henry Cavill has just been confirmed, and I could not be happier, let me tell you. You see, Superman is easily my favorite comic book character. I'd even go as far as to say that he's my favorite fictional character, period. So you can imagine how frustrating it is that we haven't seen him in his own movie since 2013. And no, I don't count Batman v Superman, because Batman v Superman fucking sucks. But even with that being said, I feel like I'm one of the only people who actually likes Man of Steel. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near perfect, and it gets a lot wrong. But I find myself enjoying a lot of it and respecting most of the changes they made with the source material. And now that they're finally doing a sequel, they have a chance to redeem all the bullshit they put this poor bastard through. But even though DC has kind of been on a roll lately, I can't help but have some worries. Now I know I should just be happy that it's finally happening and leave it at that, but I do have a few suggestions that I think could genuinely make this one of the best comic book movies ever made. Starting with... Yeah, I know I said that there's a lot I like about Man of Steel, but it's really what happens to Supes in the other movies that he's been in that makes me want this to at least be a soft reboot on his franchise. Like, for example, I do not think Superman should have died at this point. That's a huge storyline that was ultimately just wasted and unnecessary. I also think that he should kind of be a lone wolf, and other supers shouldn't really be involved with this movie, kind of like what they did with the Reeves Batman film. It's also a good excuse to fix a lot of the surface level things about his world without people getting mad or confused, like if this were a direct sequel, for example. So go crazy, change his costume, make Metropolis look like Metropolis, recast or add in any side characters that don't fit in with the new world, and so on and so forth. Thankfully, however, it does look like The Flash, if that ever comes out, is going to do exactly this. Somehow. I doubt I even need to bring this one up. It seems like both DC and Zack Snyder are not on good terms at the moment, and even if they were, I'd be astonished if he came back to direct this, which I'm honestly happy about. I don't hate Zack Snyder or anything, and I think in certain instances his style is incredible, but I don't think that I've ever really truly loved anything that he's ever put out. And out of his DC movies, for me personally, it goes from solid to literally one of the most disappointing moments in film history to fine. As for who can step in, I'm not 100% sure. I know Matthew Vaughn has been rumored to be involved with the Superman film for what seems like forever now, and I do think he's a good choice, but as much as I love Vaughn, nothing I've seen from him has really screamed Superman to me, so I'm not 100% sold on him just yet. And right as all this Superman news was coming out, it also was revealed that James Gunn is going to be working on a new secret DC project, which people immediately assumed was Man of Steel 2. And as much as I think Gunn is a fucking master at what he does, especially when it comes to his superhero flicks, I really don't think he's the way to go. There are so many more characters who I think Gunn would be better suited for, and I'd hate to see him have to sacrifice his brash and unique style to make a crowd-pleasing, comic-accurate Superman movie, which is what I think they're gonna go for no matter who's directing it. But at the same time, the dude hasn't fucking put out one bad thing, so I don't know, just give it to him. I don't really like Amy Adams as Lois Lane. I do really like Adams as an actress and literally everything else that she's ever been in. But Lois has always been my favorite love interest in comics, and besides Margot Kidder, I don't think that she's ever really been done justice. Now, I'm definitely not a fan caster, but if I did have to choose a new choice for Lois Lane, I'd say maybe a Scarlett Johansson or Mila Kunis, or even Maisie Richardson Sellers would be some pretty good picks. I also don't really like Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, but at the same time I feel like he just hasn't been used that effectively yet, so I guess he can stay. And this is kind of unrelated, but we really need to see Jimmy Olsen on the big screen for more than 15 seconds here. I mean, really, as long as Henry Cavill stays as Clark Kent, I'll be happy, cause good God, there is no one else more perfect to play Kal-El. And there is one more person I think we can all agree needs a recast, and don't you worry, we'll get to him in a second. Hey look, we got to him. Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg has got to be out as Lex Luthor. I have no idea who thought that this was a good idea to begin with, but hopefully they no longer work with DC. I don't have any specific casting ideas for Luthor, but honestly anyone's better than Jesse Eisenberg at this point. But yeah, I do want Lex in this movie. He's Superman's arch nemesis, and he should be there from the start. In my eyes, just like Batman and Joker, there's no Superman without Lex Luthor. But at the same time, I don't think he should be the main thread just yet. I think that this is a good opportunity to explore Superman's rogues gallery, and give him a new adversary. Lex can just be a side character, even the one secretly pulling the strings, I don't know, but it's super important that they start building their relationship sooner rather than later. As for who I think the main villain should be, well, my pick would be on Parasite, but I could honestly see someone like Metallo or even a Manchester Black stepping in for the role, as all these guys have never been seen on the big screen before and they'd all lead to some pretty badass and fresh action scenes, as well as each provide a good message to Soups along the way, either about his reliance on his powers or his humanity or anything else really. The possibilities are endless. Speaking of which, this is easily the most important point I'm going to make in this entire video. This movie needs to be a Superman film. Now, I know that sounds stupid, but hear me out. Superman's character is by far the most important part about him. It's what's made him endure as prevalently in pop culture as he has. And while they did do a decent job with him in both Justice League films, his character was damn near ruined in Man of Steel and BVS. Clark Kent is meant to be a fun, nerdy guy from Kansas who really just wants to do what's right. He's literally the definition of just some fucking dude. Yeah, he has some deep and serious moments at times, and the occasional existential crisis, but he is anything but the weird Jesus stand-in or whatever it was that Zack Snyder was trying to do with him in his movies. If Superman isn't relatable, or at the very least likable, you might as well just disregard this entire fucking video. This is the one thing that needs to be done right here, which is why I think a lower class villain would be a better fit, as to not steal the whole show from Soups. It's also why I think that Lois and Clark's relationship should be maybe not sidelined, but sort of put into the background, in favor of just really focusing on the character of Superman. And I know Cavill can do it, the dude's a fantastic actor, so it's really just all gonna come down to the writers and directors to pull this one off. And finally, let's make this thing weird. It seems like DC is finally getting out of that phase it felt like they were in for forever, where basically every movie was just, what if this superhero, but they were in real life. But I still want them to go all out here. Superman's an alien who fights a bald guy and is allergic to green rocks. I think we can make his movies a bit more odd. Like, I'm trying to see a comic accurate Fortress of Solitude with a big door and key and all that freaky alien shit inside. I want a live action Crypto the Superdog, and for the love of God, if whenever Lex Luthor is the main villain and they don't put him in his mech suit, we're gonna have some real issues. Also, this has always been sort of a pet peeve of mine, but Superman has some incredible powers, and I feel like we just never get to see the full extent of them in his movies. Just let my boy shine for once. Man of Steel 2 is coming out no matter what, and at this point it's so early in development that I could really only pray that someone at DC somehow sees this video and takes notes. Cause not to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but in my eyes, everything that I just said here would make the perfect Superman movie. So let me know what you think about Man of Steel 2 coming out, and anything that you do or don't want to see in the film. And as always, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button as well. And with all that being said, I've been Cole45. See you next time.